Hello, my name is Cam and fucking love cycling. I'm here to show you the amazing places that cycling can take you. But before we start the video, I'd like to tell you about a little event I'm doing in June. It's called the Dragon Devil Ride and it's for Macmillan Cancer Support. So I'll link down in the description below for my Just Giving page. Any sort of donation would be much appreciated. It would be big support. The ride is almost 300 kilometers long, 4,000 meters of climbing down in South Wales. So it's going to be a massive day out. I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, please support. So recently I travelled to Calpe on the Cambridge University Cycling Club training camp. I kind of know how to use my front shoulders. Well, what an eventful start to this day was. Finding there was a fire in Calpe, so our guides were late in getting to us. Then seeing one of the group on the bonnet of some Spanish man's Volvo meant we didn't set off until midday. Don't worry, he was completely fine, but it just meant some insurance complications with the police and stuff like that. So we had to shorten our day to about 90 kilometers. I went with group 2 and felt the tempo up Toulon was a bit too much for my liking, especially with how unfit I was after I recovered from COVID a few weeks before. However, the views from the top of Toulon and Confrères were both worth it in the end.
Watch your back.
With 20 kilometers to go, the disagreement of the different bike setup hit me and I cramped up bad. I stopped, stretched, shook it off and I was back on my way. But luckily that didn't set the tone for the rest of the week. And that was the end of day 1.
Pressure that.
It's on now.
No. Too much pressure.
Too much pressure. After the pain of yesterday's cramp still in the back of my mind, I dropped down to group 3, aka Bimble Squad. And you know what? It was just so much more fun. Nice and easy most of the way round and everyone could take their own pace up the climbs. Seeing a Neola Cometa rider shoot past me at the bottom of the Calderats, I decided it was a good opportunity to test myself. I almost lasted about 2 kilometers before snapping. I kept my tempo though and ended and recorded a fairly good time and average power, and then ended up seeing the Neola Cometa guy later up the climb as he sort of backed off and it looked like he was just doing some like intervals up the Calderats. Knowing what route Group 3 had in store and plus how much fun I had with them yesterday, I decided to stick with them with day 3. This in my opinion was the most stunning route in Calpe. First climb was Tarbanas, which was my favourite climb of last year's training camp. And included some big pros testing this time round, including Mark Cavendish as you just saw. Next climb was a small one up the other side of the rats. Let me tell you, that climb is busy. It's like Richmond Park of Calpe. Descending it was a lot of fun, and again seeing a lot of pros coming back up the other side as I was descending. Final big climb was Valdebo. Yet again I found myself on some pro's wheel at the bottom, again lasting about 2k. This is a much tougher climb than the rats in my opinion. I was caught in the last 1k by another pro who looked quite young and was quite strong, which he continued to drop me in the final 500 meters of the climb. This was a lot of fun. People from groups mixed to do a short 30k spin to Calpe and back then to a nice cafe in Altea for lunch. With some questionable Madison training, not an excuse to hold hands I swear, and a competition of who can hit the lowest average power. Unfortunately, this was the start of my knee pain, which would mean I'd miss the next day of riding.
Hello.
Final day, knee on the mend and saddle drop to compensate. I joined the group 1 and 2 mix and my god did I feel so much better. A lot of smashing up the climbs on this final nothing to lose smack up. Finish strat was an epic power climb with some extra vibes provided by the training camp playlist. I felt good, and it felt good to be racing others again. A lot of the guys in the group were a bit binned from some big rides earlier in the week, which sort of leveled the playing field out a bit and made the rides between the climbs a bit more relaxed. There was one climb on this route that was very deceiving and very rough. When you think it was over, there was yet another punch to take the sting out of the legs, not helped by the very bumpy surface which reminded us of roads back home. I ended the day with the trip up the gnarly Bernier climb and only reached halfway due to time constraints, but the view was good enough at that point, plus the road would only get steeper towards the top. That ended the trip basically. I didn't want to go into too much detail of the whole training camp, especially the off the bike stuff, which I feel should be left in Calpe, but I will say it was one of my favourite experiences I've had and the banter was next level, so hopefully I'll be back soon.